Good afternoon, everybody. This is Carol O'Connell. I work for Pursuit, and we are so excited today to host a webinar on a very important topic that is really top of mind for a lot of our clients out there. So we're glad that you are joining us. We are going to be talking about a COVID topic from an employer perspective. So managing employee relationships, small businesses during particularly difficult times. It could be hard economic times or this very unique COVID times. We are thrilled that we're partnering today with Pacific Coast Ventures. They'll be known as PCV throughout the organization. They are a CDFI that's out on the West Coast, similar to Pursuit. They do lending to small businesses, but really their mission focus is helping businesses create quality jobs and quality of life for employers and employees throughout their territory. A little bit of housekeeping items. Attendees are on mute, but we are taking questions. We welcome questions, and Claire's going to make herself available to us for questions, and you can type them in the box. Right, so just quickly, let me run through the agenda for the next 30 minutes I'm going to describe just quickly what we will be talking about, what this particular opportunity is for our small business owners, this collaboration between Pursuit and PCV, and what it'll entitle you to. We're very excited, and we have someone from PCV who will talk about that. Then we'll go straight into quickly a great conversation with Anne-Claire Broughton, a specialist on employer-employee relations and strategies. And then finally, a little bit more on the program that we are offering to you today. Anne-Claire has picked 3 topics. They're sort of burning topics she's been working with her clients on, and we wanted to tap her vast knowledge on that, and she'll be sharing with you, talking about retention of workers, engagement with employees, and then also a little bit of physical, mental health and safety, things you can do for your workforce. Quickly, for those of you, you probably know us by now. Pursuit is, we have a 65-year history as a mission-based lender throughout New York and now New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Part of what we do is that it's not just about funding, although we do provide the vast array of lending opportunities. We work with the SBA, we work with New York State to go from startup financing all the way to multi-million-dollar real estate financing. But today we're really here to talk about the other important advantage of Pursuit and its CDFI affiliate, and that is resources, knowledge, ways to help you leverage your money and your investment to make a really strong company. And that's what we're here about today. So without further ado, I am going to turn over the presentation to Anne-Claire, and she'll instruct me on, I'll do my best to move the slides forward as needed. So Anne-Claire, welcome.
Great, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here. A little bit about me. So I'm actually grounded in the CDFI industry. So way back in '99, I was part of the formation and operation of SJF Ventures and SJF Institute for many, many years. And that's where I got very interested in how do we create quality jobs, what are quality jobs, and what are different ways that we can make sure that employers and employees are aligned. So 7 years ago, I started my own firm, Broughton Consulting, and the 3 things that we focus on are business succession, especially through employee ownership, so ESOPs, worker co-ops, and other structures. And then I am a contract great game of business open book management coach, and I'll talk a little bit more about that and how important it is for creating transparency and communication with employees. And then I also write case studies and curricula around participatory management and how can you operate in a way that engages everyone at every level. And then as a side note, as we have a wave of retiring baby boomer business owners, a number of us are starting employee ownership centers around the country. So I started the North Carolina Employee Ownership Center in 2019. You can move the slide. So that's who I am, and I'd love to just let you know a little bit about open book management. So a lot of people sometimes share quarterly financials or end of year financials, and we call that open book reporting, and that's good. That's more than what many businesses do. Most businesses don't share any kind of financials, and that's understandable because, you know, that's proprietary information. But with open book management, we really believe that you can share key metrics that get everybody at every level laser focused on what's important, how the business makes money, what the expenses are, and then we set up a smart bonus plan based on increasing revenues and increasing bottom line. So the goal is for everybody to think, feel, and act like an owner, and to understand the impact of what they do every day on the numbers. So if I serve the customers quickly, efficiently, and well, then I stand to gain, and my ideas are going to be listened to. So it's much more involved than just sharing the P&O periodically. And I'll give you some examples that are quite inspiring. If you can advance. So during this time period that started in early March that you're all facing, job number one, of course, is keeping your business going. And I know everybody's struggling with that. And I've helped a lot of clients just keep going. And that's number one. So things like managing cash, taking advantage of the payroll protection program and other programs that I know Pursuit has helped many of you with. Some businesses are needing to pivot quickly. So if you're a restaurant, you're going to need to do more takeout. Some manufacturers have started making personal protective equipment, which is fantastic. And then you've got to protect your people. If you could advance the slide. But we're always wearing a good jobs lens. And so in addition to managing cash, well, managing cash is number one. So I helped a lot of people forecast their cash actually out to October. So in March, if we can steward our cash, if we can take advantage of the PPP, the EIDL, maximize our lines of credit, push out payments as long as possible, but collect receivables quickly. If we can do all these things to manage cash, we actually projected how we would look later this year. And so I did that with lots and lots of clients because cash is number one. And then you can go ahead and advance. But our emphasis is holding on to employees because we do want to survive this crisis, and it's going to be a lot easier and more efficient and better for our people if we can hold on to people and not have to have layoffs. So a lot of people had temporary salary reductions. And again, you can do that when you have a really strong employee culture and people trust that you will reinstate their salary as soon as you can. There are a number of government programs that can support holding on to your people. So in Missouri, they had a program that enabled people to work part-time, but also get unemployment. So programs like that, you should definitely take advantage of. And then a lot of my clients spent their time doing things they might not have time for otherwise. So cleaning, anything that they could do that needed to get done around their plant, organizing, things they usually reserve for slower times, they put people to work doing that. Some people did not have work for their people, but they engaged them to go around in the community and to, you know, help with distributing food or PPE or whatever the community needed. And that kept the spirits of their employees up. It gave them something great to do that engaged them with the community. And then, of course, engaging employees and thinking of how can we pivot, how can we meet the needs of our customers in this time. You can go ahead and advance.
Sure. I might just add that a lot of our business owners were working with community service, particularly for their own involvement, but it kept them visible to their clients. And they have gotten amazing results and response from doing just what you're talking about.
Great, that's great to hear. But obviously, employee health and safety is first. So a lot of clients are enabling folks to work from home wherever possible. In some businesses, that's not possible, but where they can. And I've seen some creative things I'll tell you about. Staggered shifts in manufacturing plants, so there's not too many people in the facility at once. Of course, making sure that both employees and customers are wearing masks and other PPE. I've seen a lot of touchless temperature checks at the door. Before employees even come in, they've got to have a temperature check. And then we've seen a lot of those plexiglass dividers, at cash registers and tape lines to keep people socially distant. So that's crucial for protecting your people. Go ahead and yes. And then engaging employees. So I will talk a bit about open book management. Having clear lines of communication is super important. People have been scared. They're scared to lose their jobs. They're scared to get sick. They want to know what's going to happen to them. So the more you can proactively communicate, the better. And the more transparent you can be about the situation of your business and how they can help, because people want to help. Your employees want to help. Something I'll talk about more is a win wall. So a lot of my clients, because people are nervous and things are tough and sales are down, anytime they have a win, they are gonna really celebrate it. So some people have a physical win wall where they will post things that are going well. Some people have a virtual win wall, but I think that's a really terrific idea. And then listening to employees. Employees often have terrific ideas for new business lines, and I'll give you some examples. And then I have some clients that really focused on their employees' mental health as well as physical health, because again, it's been a super scary time.
Right. Sure. And I might, something that comes to mind about the communication, and that is definitely, you want to avoid the rumor mill, right?
Yes.
So employees talk to each other. And if you're not in that conversation, it's very dangerous. Bad information gets around, and that's, you want to be ahead of that curve. So
yes,
great.
that's it exactly. Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to just give you several examples that from different types of industries, different parts of the country. So Tasty Catering is a catering business outside Chicago. They already had a terrific employee culture, but Kevin Walter, one of their owners, will say that your culture is really put to the test when you have a crisis like COVID. So they have a great culture that is run by the employees, and it's a great story. I can send you a link to some case studies about it, but basically it's run by three brothers, and at one point the younger generation came to the CEO and said, "You have to change or we're leaving." And he said, "Change what?" And the younger generation said, "The culture needs to be run by the people. Right now the three brothers contradict each other, and the culture needs to belong to us." So they did a whole process of good to great, and they created an excellent culture, which I'd love to tell you more about. But during this time, they really had to lean on that culture. So there is a management group that doesn't include the owners, and they brought the owners in to talk about what is our emergency action plan. And right away, they had several things they did. Any employees over 60 needed to stay home. They actually did take a 30% pay cut for the three owners. Everybody else took a 10% pay cut, and they cut expenses as much as possible. They cleaned the facilities themselves. They did everything themselves so that they could control expenses. They were able to get their PPP loan. And then because things had slowed down dramatically, they went ahead and cleaned all their picnic tables, all of their grills. They did all that seasonal cleaning. And it was right around St. Patrick's Day, and they serve a lot of businesses. So they were getting ready to bring this taste of St. Patrick's Day to a lot of businesses, but it's all in bulk, and it wasn't going to work under COVID. But an employee, not the owners, an employee quickly said, "We're going to have to do individual box lunches," and she wasn't authorized to just make that happen. She didn't have to consult with a lot of people. So right away on St. Patrick's Day, they had individually boxed lunches, and that's what they've done ever since. So having that culture where employees could think, like, how can we make this work? Instead of just canceling it, they found a way to do it. And then everybody, they're transparent. Everybody knew, this is our plan. This is the revenue we're shooting for. We're not going to make it. This is the revenue we're getting. Let's find ways to increase our revenue. So they actually played what's called a mini game, where drivers, as they were delivering box lunches to businesses, part of their job was to look around and see if there were facilities that had a lot of cars in the parking lot. So they knew that those businesses did not have their people at home. They were actually in the plant. So then they'd pass over the address, and the sales folks would cold call and say, hey, it's going to be a lot safer if we bring you box lunches for your people rather than having them go out to fast food. And so they got a lot of new business that way. So again, they're engaging every single employee to think about how to make this work. They're the ones that originated the win wall that a lot of other people later adopted. And then, yeah, just utilizing that open book management that they already had.
Great. Two things come to mind. One is, as you mentioned, when it comes to pay cuts. So it's a very difficult topic, showing that management's going to give, more than the employees. But following that up with a little bit of open book management. So so employees, you have to bear out everything and show why this is necessary. Because employees sometimes in their own minds think that businesses are so lucrative. I mean, a food business is very slim margins. When you show that we're in the red, everyone will pitch in, and particularly as opposed to laying off. And then number two, Pursuit also has a caterer, and the thing about the new idea of providing box lunches to corporations, that's something now, that's such a viable business line that I think, COVID or not, employers love that. It's a benefit, and they get to keep their employees sort of in the building, not wandering, taking long lunch hours and things like that. So something really interesting comes of it. Yeah.
Yes. And the other thing is their bakehouse got busier. So they were able to provide more of the bulk products, even when their catering was down. All right, so Shopbot is a manufacturer of computer numeric controlled tools based here in Durham, North Carolina. They have about 35 employees, and these tools can make anything. They're remarkable. They're really fun tools. So they had been an open book management client. So they already were sharing financials and getting people engaged. They did all the right things. I worked with them to manage their cash. They got their paycheck protection loan. They drew down their line of credit. They managed all their payables and receivables. They were able to keep going. So, but from the beginning, they arranged their people into two different crews. So one crew would work Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in the plant, and Tuesday, Thursday at home. And then the other crew was the opposite. And because these tools actually can make parts to create more tools, they sent some of the tools home so that the employees, on the days they weren't in the plant, could be in their garage cutting tools, and then they'd bring them back the next day. Or electronics, they could assemble at home and then bring them back next day when they were working in the office. So they were able to really space out the plant, have a lot more distance, and keep people working from home. They're very, very organized about it, and they put that into place right away. They also do lean, so they do a stand-up meeting every single morning to make sure they're delivering all their products on time, on spec, etc. So they started doing those by Zoom. Some people would be in the plant, some people would be remote. But they were constantly communicating where they were with delivering their tools to their customers. They did create a new line of PPE. They experimented with some medical gear because they can make anything with these tools. So they were trying to be useful to the community. They did implement that touchless temperature check at the door. Everybody wears masks, and they keep on communicating proactively. And their business is picking up. They actually, this month is one of their best months ever. So they're doing something right.
And Claire, are there, so for people that are listening in, a little bit of a smaller size, maybe not as many employees, or not as, fortunate to to be able to pivot to PPE? Or what would be some of the universal takeaways, let's say, from this example, for
Well,
any small, like little, like manufacturing company or whatever?
sure. I mean, spacing people out, keeping them safe, taking their temperature, requiring masks, making sure people have the PPE that they need, putting up those plexiglass barriers wherever appropriate, and just asking your people, what can you do? What do you see our customers needing? Are there ways we can serve our customers that might be different than what we've done before? So I always recommend that you talk to your people and get their ideas. They may have fantastic ideas that you wouldn't have thought of.
And even what other things could be done from home. I mean, this
Yes.
is a learning tool for all employers. You find it hard if you're doing just paperwork or financial, right? I work from home on a computer, but there are physical things that employees can do, and would appreciate the fact that your employer would recognize that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I was really impressed when they were manufacturing in their garage. All right, so my last example is Hlb Lighting. It is a little bit of a larger company with 7 offices around the US. They make architectural lighting designs for all kinds of buildings, really wonderful products. And they've got a fantastic culture. And they already had to be online a lot because of having all these offices. And they've been very good about creating one culture, even though they started in New York, but now they're in Boston and LA and San Francisco and Denver and Texas and Miami. So they're already connected, and I had been working with them to do open book management. So they already had that fantastic communication. But right at the beginning, they got people working from home. I think their first day was something like March 16th. And then they held this town hall meeting where they did their usual run through of the numbers, but then they really checked in. They told everyone all the things they're doing that I'll tell you in a second. They made sure everybody had the IT support that they needed to work from home. And then they did a lot with mental health. So they did all the things that you have to do to manage their cash. They got their PPP, they drew down their line of credit, and they actually added a weekly cash flow report to their weekly huddle where they go through the numbers. So everybody knows exactly where they stand with cash. And I know that all businesses won't be that open, but they were able to do it. And it gave people a great degree of comfort knowing that the company was 100% on top of cash, and they actually knew what the cash position was. So just like Tasty Catering, they focused on reducing expenses. Top management took an immediate pay cut, and they managed all their other expenses as well. And they do twice a day remote meetings, at least in the beginning. Everybody was meeting in the morning to make sure that they knew what they were supposed to do, and then meeting in the afternoon to just check in. And some of them were playing games and just connecting because it was so strange for them to not be meeting in the office. If you can advance, I have a little more about them. There we go. So yeah, they have fantastic IT support, and they had been working on this initiative to get everybody on the right platform so that they could collaborate between these 7 offices. Because many people have their young children at home and they're schooling them as well as working, they did support employees to go part-time or even hourly if they had to and they were able to. And I thought that was a wonderful benefit. I know every business can't do that, but that was really, really helpful. And then they created a chart on mental health to see if you were a 1, a 2, or a 3 above the line, or a 1, 2, 3 below the line. And they wanted to make sure everybody was doing okay. And that was a really interesting way to actually make it a little bit quantifiable. But the point is they were checking in all the time, because instead of being in these 7 offices, they were suddenly in a bunch of different homes, and they wanted to make sure everybody was okay. And then they set a COVID protocol for the entire company for in-person meetings, so they wouldn't have to adhere to client protocols. And I've actually done that with several other businesses, because if you have your protocol, you could say, oh, I'm sorry, we can only do in-person meetings under these circumstances. So to have that proactively in place, I think is good. And then I encourage them to just have some water cooler time on Zoom where they could connect, they could share things with each other. And during some of the really important racial justice conversations that have happened in the last month or so, this team is from all around the world, from a very diverse background. And so they were able to really share and connect and talk about what they were going through during that time, because they had created that water cooler conversation structure.
And perhaps, and you had mentioned it in another example, where management actually wasn't on certain in certain meetings or Zoom rooms or something, maybe around the water cooler. So I'm thinking that that's number one, that's an important. So the ability to welcome and encourage the employees to reach out to each other, in a certain format that you would normally, because if you were in the office, that's what would happen.
That's right.
And I really like the idea of, because it's very difficult for employees to raise their hands, especially because you're in probably a lot of times in a large meeting, raise your hand and say, I'm struggling, or I have childcare issues and things. So
yes,
for them to be out front and say, we recognize that this is undoubtedly the case for some of you, might be easier than for employees to open up about it. I think that's great.
Right. And another really great thing about this company is that they've invested a lot in their younger generation of up and coming leaders. So the group that I trained to do open book management was a very diverse group in their 20s and 30s. And that group has become central in getting them through this time, because they're so connected with each other and with the employees. So that's been really nice to see. And then the final slide about HLB just shows how much fun they have. So at the beginning of their weekly huddle, they do something called food for thought, and it could be anything. One day they had me play the violin. They had Nathan play guitar. A lot of times they'll wear costumes. So the Denver office, Michael is often wearing costume, and that day he was Waldo. So somebody typed in the chat, "Where's Waldo?" And we had to scroll through and find him. The day that they did that first huddle was around St. Patrick's Day. So Eddie Garcia was leading the huddle, and you could see he was a leprechaun. And then finally the Miami office, this was pre-COVID, but I had to throw it in. They all wore mullet wigs just for fun.
I'd like to share that yesterday Pursuit had a virtual baby shower. 2 of our key staff members are expecting in the next couple of weeks, and it was really wonderful. Everyone made a super effort to get together on Zoom, and it brought up such good feelings. Yeah, nice. Amongst the organization. It was great. Thanks.
Yeah, each of these offices did different things. The first week, the Denver office apparently got together and told dad jokes. And some of them played online games. So they've just found ways to really stay together and keep those connections, in addition to working really hard. So that's the bulk of what I was going to present today, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes, so for people in attendance, I'm just checking the question board. I don't see anything listed, but we're going to stay on the line for a while, and we're actually going to turn the presentation over to PCV now, talk about the opportunity. But Anne has graciously provided her contact information, primarily for topics that she discussed in this presentation, because we, in terms of one-on-one consulting opportunities, we're going to get into that in a moment. But thank you, and Claire done some awesome work with some great companies, and I really do think these lessons are applicable to all sizes. And I think it's getting help with a one-on-one consultant to then take some big ideas that have been used in larger companies and apply them to any size business.
Yes, and if you create a really
Go
good, strong culture, it can get you really far through times of crisis.
Fantastic. With that being said, we're at the point where we're very excited to invite Sanjana from PCV to go over this special program that is an exclusive offering to Pursuit clients. Actually, PCV is working with 3 different CDFIs, community-based, mission-based lenders throughout the country. She'll explain the program. And yes, Sanjana, please. If you just go over the.
Thank you so much, Carol.
Sure.
Great. And thank you, Anne-Claire, for providing sort of a great example of how working one-on-one with a business advisor can really help small business owners get the guidance and recommendations they need in any sort of general business sense, but especially now during COVID. And that's what we really hope to provide for you all on this webinar through this partnership that we have with Pursuit. And just as a brief introduction of Pacific Community Ventures and of PCV, so we are, as Carol mentioned, a nonprofit lender based out in Oakland, California, with sort of 3 main practice areas. We do small business lending to small business owners in California. We have our business advising platform where we match expert advisors to small business owners across a variety of different subject matters, and this is a national program. And we have our research and consulting arm, which is what I'm part of, where we provide consulting services to other community lenders and other impact investors, as well as do field building research. And what really ties all of our practice areas together is our focus on quality jobs, whether it's research behind the job quality or the implementation of job quality with small business owners through our other 2 practice areas, which really led to the creation of the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit that I'll touch upon shortly. But in terms of the partnership, so PCV and Pursuit have partnered together to offer Pursuit clients our business advising platform, as well as our Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit to small business owners like yourselves. And what this program entails is, once you sign up for the program, you'll be working with one of our relationship advisors who will help and then communicate with you in identifying what your specific issue area is and pair you with an expert advisor who has expertise and years of experience in that specific issue area. Being paired with an advisor through our platform, you have the option to work on a variety of different issues. The first issue being job quality, and this encompasses areas such as human resources, turnover reduction, employee retention and engagement, etc. But we also have advisors, especially during this time, who can provide mentorship specifically for COVID-19 recovery efforts. So anywhere from helping you think through how to pivot your business model to revise marketing strategies, etc. So we have that as well. And we do want to emphasize that this is a free program for small business owners. And in fact, and I'll touch upon this at a later slide, but business owners, Pursuit clients are actually eligible for up to $1,000 in incentive payments as part of the partnership. And I'll explain that.
Great. And what I'd like to mention,
do you mind going to the next slide? Oh.
Sure. For our clients that are listening in, that we're finding some clients, or because they're reopening, business owners are thinking, gee, it's just a topic. I'd love to do good jobs, but this is a tough time and thing. And what we really like to emphasize is this is such a perfect point to learn from the past. We don't want to dwell on the past, but if you think back to the stress that you've been under for the last 3 or 4 months in engaging your employees, bringing them back on board, this is rich material to help you move forward. So rather than suppressing it and saying, I don't want to think about the struggles, why not use this as an opportunity to take advantage, do things slightly differently, so that in any other kind of circumstance, like I said, any kind of economic downturn, you'll have a plan in place and tools. So we think that it's the perfect time to be launching something like that.
Exactly. Thank you. So I just wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about our Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit that I mentioned earlier. So essentially, our Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit is an online resource for small business owners to navigate how they can work on job quality at their organization while also improving their business's bottom line. And this toolkit's designed to contain really practical and tangible resources and tools, as well as business cases for small business owners to take a look at to really understand how investing in different job quality areas can improve their overall business performance. And I know this slide is really small, so I'll read out sort of the 6 main areas that the toolkit focuses on. So it focuses on employee compensation, scheduling and paid leave, hiring and professional development, employee engagement, health benefits, and retirement and wealth building. So this toolkit's really designed so any small business owner can click on each of these practice areas and find easily accessible resources to understand how to implement any of these areas where they are at. So there might be some resources that might be more applicable for a business owner who maybe is just starting out versus a business owner who is maybe slightly larger and has been operating for a little bit of longer time. But I just wanted to provide an overview of this toolkit, just so if the small business owner and the advisor choose to work on job quality, they can utilize this toolkit to really guide them through how they can think about job quality in their COVID-19 recovery.
And one thing, and I'm sure that it's addressed somewhere in the toolkit, but it really, and Claire brought that home when she talked about some of her specializations. So it's succession planning. So these are things that some of our clients, it's real, but they have not really thought about it. And what a unique opportunity we have to use and Claire for that succession planning. And perhaps that does involve employee ownership, which is just, it's been around forever, but in small business, where it can be such a useful tool. So I just wanted to, for those tuning in, to just have that in mind. And you really do need someone to help you navigate it. That is not something you sit down, you can ruminate about yourself, but you really do need expert guidance on that.
Great. So as I mentioned earlier, Pursuit small business owners are actually eligible for incentive payments through the partnership with PCV and Pursuit. And the way that these incentive payments are broken out are in 3 separate rounds. So the first round of incentive payment is a $500, and this is small business owners will receive this incentive after signing up for the business advising platform and meeting with their advisor for the first time when they sort of set their program goals for the partnership. And this is sort of to kick off that partnership to provide a little bit of capital to start thinking through how a small business owner can implement specific job quality programs right off the bat. The second round of incentive payments is of $150, and this is an incentive for completing several data collection rounds via surveys and check-ins with PCV staff so that we can understand and progress that you all are making towards achieving your goals, and so we can think about how we can pivot or update our strategy to better serve you. And then the third round of incentive payments is a progress payment. So this is at the end of the partnership where we'll be able to measure and see if you all have made progress towards the initial goals that you set with your advisor. And in that case, you would receive that $300.50 investment or incentive. So in total, there's eligibility for $1,000 incentive for participating in this program.
Right. And that does not include the value of the one-on-one consulting hours, which is, you know, it's really priceless. Yeah, you really can't. It's hard to put a value on that. Great. So
yeah,
how
and we know that this partnership might. Oh, I was just going to say we know this partnership might have an ending point, but what we hope is that the one-on-one relationship that you've developed with your business advisor carries through sort of through the future of your business, so you can reach out to your business advisor a year from now, you know, months from now. So
great. All right. So how can our clients access this wonderful program?
Great. In terms of next steps, it's really simple and streamlined to sign up for this program. So I've provided 2 ways that you can sign up. So the first one is you can reach out directly to PCV via our relationship manager, Daniel Wada, and I've provided his email address there. And you can reach out to him and express your interest in signing up for the program, and he'll follow up with you on getting you signed up and access to the business advising platform. We'll also be sending a specific link for Pursuit clients to sign up for the webinar. It's provided on this slide as well, but you'll receive this after the webinar as well. And here you can just directly sign up for the program through this link. And then next, you'll work with our relationship manager to get matched with an advisor, and this involves a conversation with the relationship manager, really understanding what exactly you're looking for, so we can go back to our advisors and understand what would be the best match for you in this scenario. And then thirdly, just start connecting with your advisor and begin the partnership. It's really as simple as that, and we want to make this as easy for small business owners to navigate and start working with their advisor as quickly as possible.
Fantastic. And I can say from experience that that a good number of our Pursuit clients have already engaged in this process with advisors on. It can be a very narrow topic, a very specific, so don't hesitate. It could be one particular thing that's a burning issue that you're struggling with employees, but then it may evolve into a larger strategy. So once you're hooked up with, with an expert advisor who will give you more of the bigger picture and how you can address that. So in this case, we're looking to keep the engagements, succinct, in that we'll solve one problem for you, or it can develop into more of a long-term strategy, which is fantastic. But we're very excited to expand this. This is just our way of promoting a program that's been around for a little while now. And I thank you both so very much for taking the time. And this will make for a great on-demand webinar as well that we're going to be sharing out to all of our clients. It is courtesy of Pursuit and, of course, our great relationship with PCV. I'm looking for any, I'm going to check for lastly for any more questions. And I don't see anybody with anything specific. We are available now for a one-on-one, a quick one-on-one. I don't see anything, so I think maybe we'll wrap up. We're at about the 45-minute mark, and I think the best bet is just to sign up. Clients, sign up so you'll get the benefit of one-on-one consulting. So thank you, Anne Claire, Sanjana. It was great seeing you guys, and I'm so excited about the partnership. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, and take care.